In this video, I'm going to tell you why eating one meal a day is a really bad idea. If you want to control what you eat, control your body, and control your life, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. One of the biggest trends in the fitness and health industry is eating one meal a day. The idea behind eating one meal a day is not that it's more convenient or that you don't have to think about food all day, although those are advantages. The big idea is that you keep insulin low and you only raise insulin once, and this supposedly balances your blood sugar levels, helps you lose weight, maintains your appetite. I've heard all of the claims before. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you why it's not a good idea to eat one meal a day, especially if you're recovering binge eating. The first reason why you shouldn't eat one meal a day is that you're probably going to be hungry most of the day. I know they say that over time your appetite can adjust, and that is kind of true. I've adapted to eating later breakfasts, but going 23 hours without eating, it gets kind of old sometimes, and not everybody is going to adapt to that. I certainly haven't adapted to that. I don't want to try eating one meal a day because when I was eating one meal a day, I was a binge eater. Not only that, how much can you adapt your appetite? Can you go 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days? Eventually, you just never get hungry again because you've adapted your body to not eat food. This can obviously lead to extreme behavior, which is another reason why I don't support one meal a day. The second reason, and I think this is pretty obvious, is that it's easy to lose control. Imagine you've gone 23 hours without eating, and then you get home, it's 6 or 7 at night, you just want to eat something, but you have to eat 2,000, 2,500 calories a day to maintain what you're eating. Now you're going to go into this eating frenzy, and it's going to be this hour-long binge, basically what it is. Now, technically, a binge only occurs when you exceed your total caloric intake for the day. So if you're only eating 2,000 calories a day and you eat 3,000 calories at once, you can technically define that as a binge. There is no exact definition of what a binge is, but it's kind of like pornography. You know it when you see it. If you have a history of binge eating or disordered eating or even overeating, then I highly recommend you don't do this. The temptation is going to be there to gorge all day. You've gone the entire day without eating. Now you feel like you deserve it. You haven't eaten anything. You feel famished. You feel tired. You just want to relax. That's the worst time to eat one meal a day. I remember seeing this personal trainer who ate 5,000 calories all at one time, and he showed the amount of food that he had to eat that amount. I don't recommend that, especially in the morning. Do you want to go to work in the morning and you've got 3,000 calories in your belly and you know that you can't eat anything else the rest of the day or else you'll exceed your limit? So if somebody brings something to the office or your friends want to go out for social events or you get hungry throughout the day, now you realize that you can't do that because you've eaten everything that you need for the day. Another point I want to make about this is that this whole hysteria about insulin is exactly that. It's hysteria. Keeping your insulin low 23 hours a day and then jacking it up for an hour as you consume a mountain of food is really not a good idea, and it doesn't matter in the long run. It's kind of like the stock market. If the stock market takes a dip early in the morning, but then it rallies late in the afternoon, does it really matter that it dipped in the morning? Probably not. What you care about is the long-term average, and keeping insulin low 23 hours a day and expecting to lose weight, even though you eat way too much at that one meal, isn't going to lead to any weight loss. Trust me, when I was a binge eater, I would go all day without eating, and then I would eat 4, 5, 6,000 calories at one time, and I'm telling you, I gained a lot of weight doing it. Insulin is not the end-all be-all of weight loss. Don't believe anybody who tells you that. By this logic, you should just never raise insulin again. We should all just eat beef jerky and eggs, and we should eat all of it in 1 minute. That way we keep our insulin low 23 hours and 59 minutes a day. Do you see how stupid this is? I mentioned social events. When you're eating one meal a day, it's really hard to go out, because what if you have that one meal in the morning and then people want to go out in the evening? A lot of times I get spontaneous invitations to go out to some restaurant I wasn't expecting to. Well, if I ate one meal in the morning, like a massive breakfast, then I couldn't go out because then I would be exceeding my caloric intake for the day, and then I would be worried about it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna overeat, I'm gonna eat too much, blah blah blah. All these thoughts start going into your head. It's a really inflexible way of eating because then it's like your whole day is structured around this one meal, and you can't miss this meal. What if your meal is early in the afternoon, but then you have some task that you have to do? What if you get an important phone call? You just wait until the evening to do it? I think most people prefer to eat 3 or 4 meals a day. It just makes sense. You break your fast late in the morning, or maybe earlier in the morning. You have a reasonable lunch, and then you have a dinner in the evening. It seems to work for most people. Now we're supposed to believe that eating 3 square meals doesn't make sense. We're supposed to just eat one giant meal at a time. I suppose this has some evolutionary advantage when people went long periods of time without eating, and then they killed an animal, and then they gorged on the animal. There are tribesmen in places like Africa, and they will drink literally 1 liter of honey. Can you imagine that? 1 liter of honey. That's a lot of sugar. And a lot of insulin too. The thing is, we are not hunter-gatherers anymore. We live in the 21st century. We live in a modern environment where food is everywhere. We have different cultural norms. We have a lot of social events. And we also have natural breaks in the day when it's convenient to eat. We should quit pretending like we're hunter-gatherers on the savannah. We're not anymore. Just because that's the way they ate doesn't mean that's the way we should eat too. My next point is eating 1 meal a day is completely unnecessary. As I mentioned before, insulin is not the end-all be-all. You don't really need to worry about insulin. I'm not saying you should eat a diet that's 35% sucrose or sugar. What I am saying is that you should eat a balanced diet, and eating several times a day isn't going to compromise your health, and it's not going to facilitate your weight loss. And it's not eating 3 meals a day is what most people do anyway, with a couple of snacks in there, and it's not going to compromise your weight loss, and it's not going to compromise your health. You spend the whole day looking forward to that one meal when you can finally replenish yourself. I remember when I was 18, that was the first time I experimented with intermittent fasting. I would work all day on Saturdays, and I would go from 9 o'clock on Friday to about 6 or 7 p.m. Saturday, and then I would go watch a movie with my dad. So in total, my fast was like 22 hours, and I felt really good after that, but then I would eat this massive dinner. I can't imagine doing that every day of the year. If you're a recovering binge eater or you have a history of eating disorders, you've probably thought too much about food and what you're going to eat next, and about calories, and about nutrition, about this, and blah, 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 blah. The last thing you need to do is adopt some meal plan that makes you think about food all the time. That's one of the things I don't like about 1 meal a day, or OMAD for short. It doesn't take care of your food obsessions, it only exacerbates them. Eating 1 meal a day will probably make you feel terrible. Try this. Go eat all of the food that you're going to eat in one sitting, and then see how you feel after that. Do you feel motivated to work? Do you feel motivated to move? Do you feel lethargic? Probably all three. This Thanksgiving, or the next time you go to a party where there's a lot of food, deliberately overeat and see how you feel afterwards. You probably go into a food coma. Why would you want to go to a food coma every single day? Why would you want to feel like it's Thanksgiving every single day? In fact, Thanksgiving and Christmas are probably the 2 days a year where I follow 1 meal a day, because that's just how the day is structured, and I never feel good about it afterwards. Speaking of weight loss, 1 meal a day will not help you lose weight. If you exceed your caloric limit for the day at that one meal, you're definitely going to gain weight. I know this because when I was overeating and binge eating, that's exactly what happened. I would be good most of the day. I wouldn't binge throughout the day. It was impossible to do that. I would usually eat the majority of my calories in a 1 hour period. If you haven't already, watch my previous video on how I ate 6,000 calories in 1 hour. It doesn't take that long to eat that many calories, especially when you're eating really processed foods that are high in sugar and high in fat. In summary, you don't need to eat 1 meal a day to be healthy, be fit, and to lose weight. It's completely unnecessary. If you have a history of overeating or binge eating, I highly recommend you do not eat 1 meal a day. What I recommend is you start eating normal meals in smaller portions. It doesn't necessarily have to be 3 meals a day. You can graze on smaller amounts of food throughout the day. My job kind of requires me to do that, and it's worked very well. Personally, I don't like eating large amounts of food. It reminds me of my binge eating days, and it doesn't make me feel good, and it doesn't make me want to move more. I prefer to eat smaller meals throughout the day. I don't worry about the insulin because I don't need to. Eating large volumes of food in one sitting only makes me feel lethargic, and it makes me feel bad about myself. If you're worried about the insulin, you shouldn't be. I hope this video helps. Let me know if you're eating 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, or you're kind of like me where you just graze throughout the day. If you're binge eating, overeating, or you have some other bad eating habits, I have some free training that you can find at saneeaters.com. You can also speak with me personally. There is a link in the description box below. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.